Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Finally made it home from my 12-day visit to Paris. The assignment was successfully completed and I made it home with no issues. In this little video, I will discuss a very dangerous topic or event that occurred at Scott Ritter's house. Scott Ritter is the UN former weapons inspector who sometimes gives interviews and assessments for the unacceptable media, which is the Russian media. You can find him sometimes featured by Sputnik, for instance, and I don't know if sometimes by Russia Today, but definitely by Sputnik. So that's unacceptable. Why? Because he's telling certain things that you should be protected from hearing. By whom? By your big daddy and big mommy over there, which is the US government and the owners of the elected officials and the guys who are appointed by the elected officials. So, FBI raided a New York home of former UN Inspector Scott Ritter. Ongoing federal investigation. Here is the title from Fox News. I have a few little subjects or topics or related to this points to make obviously on this issue, which is a very, very dangerous and hypocritical, I would say, issue. I have also a video that I will feature in this little video that I make, where Scott Ritter comes out of his home and he's going to explain something that will turn again the US government into a hypocritical bitch. All right, so let's start with the article first and then go to the video. At the end of this video, I will show you what I gifted to myself from my little trip in Paris, and I don't want to do it before, so if you want to stay with me at the end, I will reveal my little present that I made for myself. All right, let's start with the article. Let me put my goggles here. FBI raids The raid came a day after Ritter posted a photo of himself with independent president candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Well, then you're gonna raid Mr. Robert Kennedy Jr.'s office and house as well if you did it to this guy. The FBI and state police on Wednesday raided the upstate New York home of Scott Ritter, a former UN weapons inspector. Fox Digital confirmed FBI agents and state police were seen entering Ritter's home in Delmar Wednesday afternoon. The reason for the raid was unclear. I will make it clear because that's hypocritical. That is the Foreign Agent Registration Act, the one that these garbages were calling the Georgians from Georgia as being the Russian law. Remember that one? And they tried to topple the government in a remake of 2014 Maidan, Ukraine, Kiev event. Remember that one? They tried it in Georgia and they will keep trying it with a foreign Russian law. The Russians did something the Americans did in 1930s. And obviously that's bad. And they searched Mr. Ritter's house based on that. He didn't register as a foreign agent. The Russian law works United States of America. By whom? By the thought police. I don't have the information yet, but it's a federal ongoing investigation. That is, they will not tell you squat. Why? If it's an ongoing investigation, you don't obviously provide information on the investigation, ongoing investigation, and obviously for confidentiality reasons. That means they will come and make statements, and when you're going to ask questions, they're going to say, well, I can't disclose anymore. So they will say, your mom is a bitch. And when you say, why? I can't tell you why, but she is. That's how it works. All right. Even under oath, go and check those Senate hearings when they have FBI, CIA, and other bureaucrats, appointed bureaucrats, telling the elected officials, I can disclose that at this point. It's an ongoing investigation, and obviously for confidential reason and to keep our boys safe, we cannot disclose it. So back off. But you can't do that in court. You can say, well, I plead the fifth. He's guilty. All right, let's move on. So here is Mr. Scott Ritter, and I'm quoting, I can confirm FBI personnel are at the home of Dover Drive, conducting law enforcement activity in connection with an ongoing federal investigation. An FBI Albany spokesperson, we don't know if it's a man or a woman, now it's just a person, was it a midget, was it a giant, what the hell, and a cock, pussy, what the hell he had, told Fox News Digital, as the investigation is ongoing, Department of Justice policy prevents me from commenting further. And here is a picture with these guys that probably will get these guys searched as well. And they're watching football. Great. So, Burgers with Bobby. All right, let's go. Let's turn into the video here. And we have Scott Ritter coming out. I will go back to this. Coming out of his home. And he's going to make some statements. I will not go and play the whole thing. I will play maybe, it's 2 minutes and 45. I will play just, let's see how far it's going.
So, I don't want to get run over here. All right, as you guys have figured out, the FBI executed a search warrant at my residence. The search warrant is related to concerns apparently the U.S. government has about violations of the Foreign Agent Registration Act. I will tell you right now, I am not in violation of the Foreign Agent Registration Act. I have not done anything that will do it, and hopefully by executing the search warrant and taking the materials that they did, they will rapidly reach that conclusion. I will say that things like this have a chilling effect on free speech. There's no doubt that I'm being targeted because of statements I've made about U.S. policy in Ukraine. I'm being targeted because I have made an effort to try and improve relations between the United States and Russia, to try to bring about arms control, to bring about peace. Apparently somebody in the U.S. government takes umbrage at this, so they executed a search warrant. The FBI was extraordinarily professional. I have no complaints against the personnel that did this. I do have complaints against the personnel that caused this to happen. This has a chilling impact on free speech. The idea that you have a free speech right in America when you execute it in a manner that the U.S. government takes exception to, and they launch a search warrant, that is an intimidation factor. I can say that I am not intimidated, and I will continue to speak out, and I will continue to do what I do, because that's my responsibility as an American citizen, and I will continue to operate in that manner. So I think I gave you all the answers you need at this point in time. I would request that you respect that and let me and my wife get on with our business.
What time did they show?
All right, my friends. So, what do we know? Well, we don't know if he really violated the Foreign Agent Registration Act. We don't know. But he incriminated himself, so that he said, no, I tell you right now, I was not in violation. Therefore, he is certain that he did not do that. Otherwise, you would keep your mouth shut, or you would just divert and say some other things. But he already said it. I tell you right now, he must know it's something else. Now, remember that saying, who sacrifices their security for their liberty for their security will end up having neither. That means those baboons that right now are celebrating, or the government keeps us safe, I'm going to give up some of my liberties, like for instance with remember the all that garbage that was in 2019, 2021 and so on. Yeah, they're going to end up with neither. Why? Because the guys instituting the safety keeping session are slowly but surely increasing the tyrannical behavior. That's how things happen, little by little. Rarely you have a guy who's coming on and says, I'm going to be your tyrant guy then. I'm going to be that. No, they're going to go, I'm going to do it for your own common, interest, for common safety. And in the name of common safety, they will take care of people like Ritter. Now, I don't know if he is a spy, an agent, a foreign agent, whatever, an asset of the Russians or whomever, I don't know. But according to Scott Ritter, they can, because he is in a violation of that Foreign Agent Registration Act. Now, I don't believe that's the reason why, personally. I don't think that's the reason. I think the thing is, the reason is why, because Scott Ritter has a name, is very well known in certain circles. He's saying things that these guys don't approve of, therefore he rocked the boat too much. And that tells me that Scott Ritter might have been targeted. I have actually the conviction that he was targeted, not because he's as I said, but because he said things that the government, the guy is going to keep you and I safe, that they didn't like. That's what it is. He doesn't have secrets. Scott Ritter doesn't have access to secrets. He is tapped, I guarantee you that, like many of people like him are tapped, to keep us safe, which I'm okay with, but within the law. So you have a balance between your freedoms and the government's intrusion in your liberties, freedoms, and so on, which they start with this. And he said this is a intimidation act, which I think it is. We don't know if Scott Ritter works for Putin directly and what he does. But I will get to the topic where I told you many times that, for instance, Elon Musk and others are either going to go that way, which are going to be, I told you about the warrants signed by 1,000 judges if these guys want to make it, and arrest you legally. And the baboons will agree with that because they say, well, that was legal. And I will go also to the hypocritical crybaby calls from the White House and the media, the operatives of the system, which are the media guys, telling us that the Russian law in Georgia is an infringe of liberty of the NGOs and so on, which is milder, which says if you or an institution lobbies for a certain kind of outside foreign interest, and he or the institution, it is funded more than 20% by external funds, therefore you have to register, say, okay, I receive more than 20% of my funding from, I don't know, this government or that, and so on. Which the same thing the United States requires. But nevertheless, here you have a clear case that, hey, this guy was just used that little foreign agent law registration, but Russia is the Russian law in Georgia. And those guys were activated to topple the Tbilisi government. They stopped now, but they will try again. But again, why would you try people who, why would you believe or trust people who lied to you over and over again? I'm talking about the operatives and their institutions. All right, so this is, let me go, I don't usually make lists, but a list in, what topic I'm going to discuss. But I did not want to miss certain topics. So I made a little list, a little scribbling here. There you have. And the first one was the free speech. I think he was targeted for that. I think that's a signal for people like me, which I told you many times, I am a small fish. But once I get bigger fish and I rock the boat, they will do the same thing to people like us. I put myself in the same boat with Scott Ritter in this respect. Not as magnitude, but the job we are doing, which is trying to tell you something that the government and their operatives don't want you to know. They will ban this and this and this, and I'm pretty sure that Mr. Scott Ritter's channel will be affected and so on because of the investigation. And not only free speech, that means no consequences for your free speech, unless, I'm talking about government intruding, not, consequences will be, don't make threats, okay? Don't create panic, and you should be just fine. Don't instigate to, violence, and that would be it. This is kind of like the free speech that I'm talking about here. Now, there are some policies, obviously, you can't promote certain kind of sexual, I totally agree with that. But don't worry, little by little, those guys that disagree with your political speech, they will agree with that in the future. They will lower the age of consent and all that. You will see that. Why? Because they are having too much power. Why do I say too much power? Well, for another video. So that was the first one. Then it says here in my little scribbling, foreign act in Georgia. I told you already about that when the Georgian government legally, tried to implement their foreign agent law, registration act. The Americans did not like that a bit. Why? Because through the NGOs, they are trying to topple some kind of issues and so on. I'm all for NGOs, but transparency. No, transparency here, but not there. That's selective justice, and not only. Now the media in the US, remember what they did? They parroted the same thing the White House parroted. Oh, this is an infringement, that's a Russian foreign law, that's a blah, 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 which these guys implemented before, these guys being the US government, before the Russians even thought about doing it. It was in 1936, if I remember correctly, in the US. And if you look at its content, you're going to find out that, hey, here's a warrant based on that. Mr. Musk can be also issued an not arrest warrant, but a search warrant. Tucker Carlson could be issued one, and many other people. And then it makes you think, why aren't they? Are you going to do anything about it? I bet you pretty much will not. Why? They have the guns. So little by little, this is a signal. They give you a signal, not a signal, an example. Scott Ritter is an example. Scott Ritter is not that powerful, all right? But nevertheless, if the government, what I'm saying, not that powerful, if they want to show up at his house and they arrest him with a signed arrest warrant by how many judges you want, 15,000, they would get 15,000 judges to sign that. Why? Well, who's got the gun, and who's got the guns, and who's got the power? So Scott Ritter is now an example, a small example, and people like, for instance, let's say Tucker Carlson can take note of that. I'm pretty sure that Scott Ritter doesn't have Tucker Carlson's money or Elon Musk money, but they don't have as much power to defend themselves in any way, and they will, under the Foreign Agent Registration Act, be, I don't know, maybe investigated. Federal investigation. Remember, my friends, federal investigation. As I said, I don't know, maybe he's a spy, maybe he's an Russian asset, I don't know, but it sounds too strange that people that spoke against the government immediately, they are like, not immediately, but they are, okay? Let's see what else I have here. Then we have, this is the speech police. That's how I call it. The US has a speech police. That's how I see it. As of now, I have no evidence that Scott Ritter violated anything. But I also know, by knowing the dynamics of the game, that these things will happen, could happen. I said it many times before. I said, I expect, in the past, I said about 60% that one day I will have people knock at my door and wanting to talk to me. And I know, take my laptop, take my telephone, take certain kind of things to figure out who am I. They already know. They are here with us. Don't worry about it. They are here with all my computers and all that. They know who we are. They know better than we know. The problem is when they know too much. There is things that they put together that are not there. And they say, oh, this is what it is. And they're going to come and knock at the door and they're going to talk to you. They're going to come with a warrant. You have to talk to them. You're going to plead the fifth. No problem. They will get you in the little pop-up for a while, and then you're going to hire a lawyer, and you're not going to hear from me anymore. Why? Because that's what they do. They do like this. When you are becoming bigger, as I said, starting to rocking the boat, they will attack you. They will focus on you, and they will set an example. Now, if they go to fish, little fish, let's say like me, that tells you they are very desperate. Now they went to Scott Ritter. He's a big fish in the free speech. But I am a small fish. If they're going to do that to me, you're going to know exactly that these guys are so insecure in their position. Insecure. And this is, as I said, an example for others who have free speech that will happen or could happen to you. So back off. And we'll see who's going to do it and who's not. Or you're going to understand who is on their payroll playing the Trojan horse with us. That is, they are working for Big Daddy and Big Mommy out there. They come here as being the Shapiros and the fighters for the conservative and all that. And they are protected and supported by foreign countries and institutions, agencies. All right? So when you see these guys not being arrested, but these guys being arrested, makes you wonder why. They say kind of almost the same thing. It's because they're part of the matrix, their matrix. All right, let's see what else do I have here. Warrant. Okay, well, warrant, as I said many times before, it's not hard to have these guys get a warrant just for the baboon's eyes. No, they're just to the baboon's eyes, so the baboon says, well, it was legal, everything was legal, like this. The baboons will say, well, it's just a warrant, it's an investigation, maybe he's one of those guys. And baboons, everything was good. So these things with warrants and all that, is they will do it legally. They have the means. And if tomorrow they arrest Scott Ritter, let's say, and they say, okay, we have to arrest him and discuss with him this man, who's going to promote it? Who's going to talk about it? Who's going to have access to Scott Ritter? His lawyers? I mean, my friends, this is just the first step into a tyrannical behavior. And maybe it's not the first, maybe it's the fifth. Let's put it this way. The fifth. So, warrant, the same. Tucker Carlson can get one. I can get one. Elon Musk Elon Musk, just because he got $1 billion, he doesn't have an army to defend himself from a tyrannical armed government. Therefore, what is he going to do? Let's say, I said this many times, the government shows up at his house with a warrant. What is he going to do? He's going to come, Mr. Musk, we invite you here in this little unit, come with us, we have to discuss certain things. He can't say no. They're going to pick him up and going to put him over there and going to get him to the offices. And they're going to discuss to him and then discuss with him whatever they need to do. His zero, all his billions will not help him a bit. Why? Always in any society, the crude force of our animalic instincts will prevail. If I show up at the debate with a weapon and I put it on the table, I guarantee you I will be always right. Because I will always touch the weapon and I will always scratch with the weapon around and people will understand the hint. Unless someone will not, and then I set an example on that person with this. And then the rest will say, oh damn. So when you see revolutions without the army cooperating or not cooperating, you have no revolution. No revolution. All right, and let's see here. The last little subtopic of this big topic is matrix. We live in a matrix that is, we have a reality right there and a manufactured reality for us. We have the rule of law, we have free speech, we are equal in front of the law, we don't do this, we do that. This is the matrix for us. We are like maggots on a carcass. This is what we are. And they are doing over there what they do best, which is, and those people are also owned by others. I'm talking about the government officials, elected officials. These are in charge of us with the media and the apparatus of law enforcement. So we live in a matrix, I guarantee you that. Not in a matrix like the movie Matrix, but it was very interesting because at the beginning of that movie, or it wasn't the beginning, I watched the movie Matrix. I don't know how many there were, 3 or something. I watched because some friends of mine loved it. So at the beginning, it starts the movie, it says like a disclaimer. A disclaimer for me, it was very interesting because those guys over there had to say that what is portrayed in the movie is not a representation of reality. That means when you say, oh, no, my child is very smart. When you have to say that about your child, that he's very smart, that means you either have doubts or people have doubts that he's very smart. So he's an imbecile probably. So, oh, she's so pretty. Why do you have to say that? And overemphasize that. Nobody asked you. Nobody said anything. Out of the blue you say, he's very smart. You have to say it. The same here. In that movie, when they put that little disclaimer at the beginning, I was like, why would you do that? Why would they do that? All right, my friends, this is the dangerous not precedent. It happened before, but just think about it. I think people should be allowed to say whatever they want, right? I told you the little limitations, 3 or so in the free speech that I consider, or let's say 4, and we should be allowed at least to listen to whatever we want to listen to. These guys are somehow the gatekeepers of the truth, and we can hear only what they allow us to listen to. I was in Europe right now, I couldn't access Russia Today, for instance, in France. Is it banned? I went to Romania, the same thing, I had a problem. You can't, RIA Novosti, you can't access it. Why? Because those guys prevent us from being propagandized by other people. Who is in charge of us? Other people like you and I. If I'm free. I should be allowed to listen to whatever I want. If I want, lie to me, baby doll. I want you to lie to me. What's your problem? What is going to have a consequence? And who are you? Do you know everything? You're in charge of my freedom to protect my freedom, but don't infringe my liberties. Now, let's go to this little box that I got, and I will tell you right now. I bought this one from the Emperor Napoleon's grave, and that I visited at the Invalids, the Hotel of Invalids, of the Invalids Dome, and so on. So I've been told by my American friend that they don't like to say it Invalids, but that's what it is. That's free speech. That's the exact representation, the term used for the condition. The Hotel Invalids was built by, I can't remember what kind of king, I think it was, for the invalids of wars. They fought wars and some of them were wounded and they became invalids. That's the word. It was woman who said that. And I said, well, you use your term. I should be allowed with, I should have not asked for anybody's approval that this is the term I should use, like a midget versus little people, or gay versus homosexual, or things like this, or dying versus, I don't know, passing away, or something. No. Or handicapped versus differently abled, all kind of euphemistic, imbecilic terms to make people feel good. All right, I didn't open this one. I opened it when I bought it. I just want to make sure that I pay for what I buy. So this is, and this guy is going to go to next to that guy. Why? Because that guy was gifted to me by a loved one. Very, very much I love that person. And she gifted that to me, and I put it over there. Now, if you would give me President Obama or garbage, I will not put it here, obviously, unless it comes from a loved one, but they know better. All right, so here is Emperor Napoleon. Now, there's many reasons why, like any other person, and I'm not trying to defend anybody, that's not my job, but why I like this guy and I admire certain things that he did, and obviously I don't admire certain things that he did not do, or he did. I don't know where I'm going to put him. Probably I'm going to put him next to this for now, but I'm not going to make here, it's a bad taste to put it next to one another. Here is Enescu. I visited his grave in Père Lachaise, Paris, so go and watch that video. I visited this guy's grave. I didn't visit his grave yet. So I don't know where I'm going to put this guy yet. I'm going to put him here. All right, and that's a rock over there, taken from a certain location that is very dear to me. All right, so, as he says, impossible is not French, he said, when he was told, I don't know, it's impossible. And he said, impossible, ce n'est pas français. So, to say impossible is not French. Well, I guess right now it's true. Look at the opening ceremony of the Olympics and you're going to realize he was right. Impossible is not French. Well, my friends, dangerous precedent and Scott Ritter, and this is just a signal, just an example set for people like others that is no surprise here. As I said before, if you're not going to hear from me one day, it's not because I took all my money in my luggage and ran away to Tahiti. Hint, okay? No, it's not, and being over there with a margarita or a Bloody Mary and having ladies of the night around me or whomever. No, it's not going to be that. It's going to be because either I died, how I died, we don't know. I don't know, maybe in sleep or maybe a little, how do you call that? How do you call that? A stroke. I get a little stroke, so you can't hear from me anymore. Maybe I was taken away on a UFO towards the government building. All right, things like this. Or maybe I was in such a way discussed too that I will be really, really afraid to make another video. You know what it is? It's a blackmail and other things. And I will say, well, I'm weak and I have to keep my mouth shut. Otherwise, I or my family will be hurt. So there's no other way. I will not get bored of doing this because that comes from here and from down there below, all right? And from here, there's three places. I can use it, the Kundalini's serpent, which is the 7 points, the chakras. Well, the Kundalini serpent comes from my balls into my heart, into my brain. Not necessarily that it has to come through your balls and through your heart. The balls give you the courage, the heart gives you the passion, and this gives you the guidance, what to pick and not. All right, this is Kundalini explained. If you know what Kundalini is, go and check some yoga. And when these guys are doing the little stretches over there in their panties, the women being and their little yoga stuff, they don't know squat about it. Why? Because they don't do yoga. They do something to feel good. I'm doing yoga. Okay, well, tell me about how many, I don't know, chakras are. And can you name them? You know which chakra, what that means. And not only. They don't know squat. They know I want to go to yoga. This is a little, whatever. Let's move on. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.